guarantee you that this book will take you out of a reading slump and then pull you back into one, because that's how good this book was. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anissa and I am really happy that you guys are here and you are watching today's video. And as you probably already can tell by the title and by the thumbnail, in today's video I'm going to give you guys some book recommendations of my favorite books that will 100% take you out of a reading slump. If you are in a reading slump or if you feel like you're approaching one, I can guarantee 99% of the time that this book will take you out of a reading slump. Before I start, I just want to mention I kind of have them divided in genres. So I have to recommend you 3 thriller books, 5 romance books, 5 historical literary fiction, and then 5 romance books. And again, I'm going to kind of rapid fire through those because, as you can already tell, there are a lot of books and I don't want to be here for ages. And I don't know why I just woke up with this really weird voice. So yeah, I don't know what's happening, but I don't think I feel the best. I mean, I'm fine so far, but my voice isn't. I don't know why. Honestly, I have no idea. I have already been ill this year and the year just started. So anyways, but yeah, I'm going to start with the thrillers because I've got just 3 of those that I really want to recommend to you guys because I feel like they're so underrated. And if you want a fast-paced thriller book that will get you out of a reading slump, and maybe you won't give it 5 stars like I did, but you are just unable to put a book down, then pick any of those 3 and I guarantee you'll get out of the reading slump. Also, before I start this, I just want to mention that they're not in any particular order. I haven't ranked them or anything like that. I just pulled them off my shelves, made a pile of them, and then whichever one I put first, it's the one. But I haven't ranked them, just so you know. I love these books equally for every genre, so I wouldn't be able to put them in a place. First, we have Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister, and this is a thriller book. It is really fast paced. I gave it 5 stars when I read it. I couldn't believe it. The plot twist is amazing. The book is so complex. We are basically following this mother and she witnesses her son stabbing somebody, murdering somebody. And she's obviously shocked. She's obviously like in despair. She goes to sleep and then when she wakes up the next day, it's actually not the next day, it's the day before she witnesses her son committing a murder. And she basically has this second chance of finding out what's happened and why will her son try to murder somebody and stop this from happening. And we're following that, and honestly it's so fast paced, it's so unputdownable, and I feel like many more people need to read this book because it's so underrated. I cannot believe it how not many more people have read this book because it's honestly, and you can tell this was at the beginning of my reading journey because the spine is fully cracked. I don't know if you can see, but yeah. And also I gave this book to so many people. I even made my mom read it. I made like a friend that doesn't read books read it. My boyfriend that doesn't like reading at all, he already knows what the book is about. So yeah, I would highly recommend for you to read this book if you want a fast-paced, unputdownable, and like you would not be able to guess the plot twist of this book. And it has a bit of a time travel type of situation because obviously she is stuck a day before the murder is happening. So if you think that sounds up your alley, I would highly recommend for you to pick this book up. Okay, next we have The Trap by Catherine Ryan Howard, and again another of my 5 stars thrillers. I love this book so much. In this book we are following our FMC, and she basically is trying every night to go and get abducted. That's what she's trying to do. She wants to get kidnapped because this is the way she's going to find out who took her sister and what happened to her sister, because her sister has been kidnapped a few months ago, I believe, or a year ago. I don't remember exactly, but she's trying to find the killer of her sister or the kidnapper of her sister, and the story goes from there. When I'm telling you, I could not believe the plot twist of this book, and I feel like this is under 300 pages. Yeah, this book is 302 pages. so short and so like it does what it needs to do. It is dark, so make sure you check your trigger warnings. It is really fast paced and it's so well done. The writing style, amazing. As you can probably already tell by the state of this book, I've lent it to so many people and they have also enjoyed it just as much. Yeah, it says on the cover, to catch a killer, she'll become a victim. And basically, that's the entire plot, the storyline of the book. She's trying to put herself in a dangerous situation in order for her to actually be kidnapped, just like her sister, because the killer or the kidnapper is on the loose, and she is hoping that if she does let that happen, she will be able to find out at least what happened to her sister. It's kind of creepy, honestly. It really, yeah, it gave me the like shivers. So I would highly recommend for you to pick this book up if you want to get out of a reading slump. My last recommendation in the thriller category, we have After the Night by Karen Slaughter. Also, I want to say that anything by Karen Slaughter is a good shout for a thriller. I think she writes really fast paced and unputdownable thrillers. I think she has a really good writing style, especially when it comes to thriller, and the overarching storyline is really unique and really fast paced. So I would highly recommend any of her books. But in this book, we are following this like assault that happened on a girl, and basically because of that assault, there's many more investigations that are being opened and that are being looked into, and there's a lot of stuff happening because of that. This book is very heavy, it is very explicit, and it is very detailed, so make sure that you check your trigger warnings. But because of one investigation regarding one assault that happened in this book, many more are open and they somehow all relate, and the plot twist at the end, again, it is mind-blowing. So I would highly recommend for you to pick this book up. I'm trying to rapid fire through these books because I always say I'm not going to give too many details, but then I sit down and I chat and I have almost a 2 hours long footage that I need to edit after, which is not fun whatsoever. So I'm trying to be straight to the point. So next we have the romance category, and the first book I'd recommend is Collision by Carrie Layton, and she is an Italian writer, and I believe this book has been recently republished or picked up by a publisher. I'm not really sure. I hope you can see my annotations. I really love this book, and I feel like I found this book in TK Maxx, and look how floppy it is. I don't know if you can, like, that's what we like. But anyways, the way I describe this book always, or when I'm talking about this book, is if A Love Letter to Whiskey and Magnolia Parks had a baby and they are set in high school. That's basically how I would describe it. Or not even in high school, maybe in university, college. It is young adult, but it is so well done. The characters are very, I don't know if you can hear that. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. I think that's probably a car alarm. But like I was saying, the characters are very complex and they are very annoying sometimes to read about. Just the same feeling that you go, if you liked A Love Letter to Whiskey, that feeling that I wanted to like throw the book across the room and you were just so done with the characters, but you're so addicted and you just needed to know what is happening next. I had the same feeling with this. We are following, what's her name, Vanessa, and she's in a really abusive relationship with her boyfriend. She also has a really difficult situation at home. She only lives with her mom because her dad has left them and he has a new life and he doesn't really care about her any longer. So you also see the way she deals with that, and this toxic boyfriend that she has, he's really horrible actually. I can't stand the guy. And then this new guy, Thomas, is coming at her high school and he's this really broody bad guy. He doesn't talk to anyone, he's quiet, he's very like mysterious, and yeah, he is a very broody and mysterious character, and they form a friendship and feelings start to develop and we go from there. And it was really well done, it was really addictive. And I know it seems like a long book, but it is really fast paced, honestly. Like, I think I finished this book in 2 sittings. Let's see how long it is. Yeah, it is like 500 pages, but it didn't feel like 500 pages. I would highly recommend. And especially if you are approaching a reading slump, I feel like this will take you out because you are going to get invested into these characters and what they're going through and their lives and what they will do next. And it will frustrate you, but you will be there, you will be invested, you have no other way but being invested. So I think this is a great book to pick up if you are approaching or you are in a reading slump. Next, I have a book that I have read this year, which is Ready or Not by Cara Baston. And this book we are following Eve, and she basically has a one night stand, which is so unlike her. And from that one night stand, she falls pregnant and she's trying to get the dad of the baby involved, but he's kind of like unavailable, but he does want to be unavailable. There's a whole situation with this guy, but basically she is kind of left of being a mom and going through the pregnancy by herself. And she has this best friend. She's been friends with this girl since they were kids, and her best friend has a brother, and they are also friends but not that very close, and their friendship starts to develop as the pregnancy moves along, and obviously feelings start to also come about and they start to develop, and it's such a beautiful relationship, and they are so adorable together, but they are also so adorable individually as people. They are good people and I love this so much. And I wouldn't even say that this is more of a romance than it is a literary fiction. I think it has the perfect amount of both, at least in my opinion. I didn't find it like the typical romance rom-com type of book, even though it had those aspects. Like the main character, she's so funny from the first page. I truly laughed out loud. She's so good, and the writing style is amazing. I think you get everything in this book, a bit from all over the place, and it was done so well done. And yeah, I would highly recommend this book. This was my first 5 stars, even 6 stars of the year. I read it in January and it stuck with me and I love it a lot. And Shep, the MMC of this book, he's such a golden retriever and I'm so in love with this guy. You guys have no idea. If you haven't met him yet, please read this book. Please read this book. Do yourself a favor and read this book. Okay, guys, next we have Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This book is one of my 6 stars book. If you love this and you want similar vibes and feelings, read Ready or Not by Cara Baston, the book I was just telling you guys about, because it made me feel the same way. I love this book so much. I don't care what anyone has to say about these interconnected standalones. I don't want to hear it because this is my baby and I love these people so much and they are real people. I don't care. They are real people and I am in love with both of them. Again, like I was saying about the other book, they are so adorable and they are such good people, both together but also individually. And the MMC is such a golden retriever. The anxiety representation we get in this book, but from our MMC's perspective, is so well done. It's fantastic. I related so much and I feel like it is a topic that needs to be done in books more often, and Abby Jimenez done it so well done. No matter what age you are, I think you can take something from this book and I think you would enjoy this book. We are following these two ER doctors and basically they are kind of fighting for the same job position and the story goes from there. We have Brianna, and Brianna has again a kind of difficult personal life. She takes care of her brother and there's a story with her brother as well, which I think it was done so well. And all I'm going to say is that our MMC Jacob, he plays a role in helping her with her brother, which it made me cry. It really did make me cry. And they also start writing letters to each other, which I thought it's so cute. And I love when we have letters in a book. I think it makes the book so much more cozier and like heartwarming. And this book truly felt like a hug. So I would pick this book up if I was in a slump. Next, I would recommend Face Off by Chelsea Curto. This is the first book in the This Is Stars series and it was a 5 stars immediately. It is also on Kindle Unlimited And if you are a lover of hockey romance, but you are tired of reading about young adult hockey romance and you want adults and you want a bit more spice maybe in your book, or if you want more explicit adult themes in this book, then this would be the one for you. I would highly recommend it. We are following Emmy, and she is really trying to get on the hockey team. I'm bad with these terms, but yeah, she is trying to be part of this hockey team, and it is hard being a woman working in a man's job. So we see how she deals with that, how she treats and deals with this very misogynistic man. And how the story starts is by her meeting, what's his name, Maverick Miller. Maverick, how do you pronounce it? We'll just call him Miller because he's called Miller in the books most of the time. So she meets Miller, and it was really funny the way they met for the first time because his team has lost many games, and now they have a new captain, they have a new coach, and they are trying to get their feet back on the game, and they are trying to win and actually get the satisfaction of being good at the game. And he doesn't know that when Amy comes to help their team that she is a woman. He thinks he is a man, and there's this like small argument that they get into, but then they sleep, they have a one night stand together, and they think it's just a one time, but actually they become friends with benefits, and the story goes from there. It was really well done. It is really cute. I'm going to say though that the dialogue sometimes is very cheesy and very cringy at some points, but I feel like the overall story is really sweet, and the writing style is very easy to get into and fly through, and it was also on Kindle Unlimited like I mentioned earlier, so I would highly recommend. Okay, one of my favorite books of all times, and I think I haven't really talked about this book on my channel that often, which is a disservice really, but we have The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings, and this book pulls at your heart, and it made a space in there, and it's never going to go away. I love this book so much. We are basically following our FNC Georgia, and she lives in London, but she's originally from South Carolina. And one day she gets a call from her family saying that her dad has passed away and she needs to go and attend the funeral. And basically, long story short, when she does go back home in South Carolina, she meets her brother, and her brother Oliver is the only person that she really talks to in this family. Her family is very toxic and very selfish and very horrible people, really. And she meets Oliver, her brother, after a long time, but she also meets Oliver's AA sponsor, Sam, and they form a friendship, and then they form a relationship while all of these toxic and horrible things happen in her life when it comes to her family. And also I want to mention that her brother is gay, and the way her mom is treating him and the way his family, their family, is treating him just because he's gay, it's horrible, but it's done so well, and I feel like it is a really heavy book, so make sure you check your trigger warnings. I didn't expect that going into this book. I thought it's just going to be like not a fluffy romance, but I thought it's going to be something along the lines of Magnolia Parks. It's nothing like that. And I think it's better actually. And I think it deserves more hype. And I think the themes that this book explores are some of the themes that not many books explore. And I feel like they need to be done in books more often, and I feel like this book is a healing process, and this book is a healing journey. And yeah, I could relate to some parts of this book, and it was very well done, and I loved it so much. And the relationship between Georgia and Sam, it made me cry. It really did make me cry, because if you do have that one person with you, and if you know that you can rely on one person, if you have that your person, then that's all you need. And the way it was done in this book, it was chef's kiss. And yeah, I would love to go back and reread this book and annotate it. And also I want to quickly mention that Georgia's job is very interesting. She has studied psychology, and basically she's like a human lie detector. Like, she looks at people and she can read their facial expressions and their body movements, and she can already tell if they lie or not, and what they feel, and kind of like read it and translate it from their facial expressions, which it was a big part of this book, and I think it was so interesting. And if you like to read about psychology and these facial expressions and human emotions and all of that sort of stuff, I think this is the book for you. I would 100%, I would guarantee you that this book will take you out of a reading slump and then pull you back into one, because that's how good this book was. Okay, so now we are entering our historical fiction slash literary fiction. I put them together because I don't have five books for each category, so I just decided to combine them. So the first books that I have are both from Kristen Hanna. We have The Great Alone, and then we have Firefly Lane. I'm going to talk about these books separately because they are very separate and very different books. So in The Great Alone, we are following this family, and the dad of the family, the husband of the family, the man of the family basically has come back home from the Vietnam War, and he is suffering with PTSD. He has nightmares. If the weather is bad, that can trigger him, and sometimes he takes it out on his family. And because of all of this, he can't really keep up a job. He goes one time and then he never goes back again, or he maybe does something that he shouldn't because he gets triggered and he gets fired. So because of that, he can't keep a job, and they are kind of struggling. And one day he gets a call from one of his friends' dad, and his friend has died in the Vietnam War. But that friend's dad calls him up and says, "Hey, my son has left you the little cabin that he has in Alaska in the middle of nowhere. If you want to make it yours, then come and make it yours." And basically, this is their chance at a new life and at actually doing something and being a family again. His daughter and the mom, his wife, don't really want to go, but they see how important that is to him, and they see that already this has improved his mood, so they decide to actually go on with this move, and they move to Alaska. And the story is told from the daughter's POV, and I think at the time that we start this book, she's 11 years old, which was really interesting. It was very well done. I didn't expect that, and it was very, very emotional. And yeah, I would highly recommend this book. Alaska plays a big part in the story, the weather and the people and the small community. And yeah, it was very sad. It made me cry. This book is very triggering. It deals with violence and domestic abuse, so make sure you check your trigger warnings. But again, just like with the previous book, it will take you out of a reading slump because you're gonna get so connected and you're gonna get so invested into these characters and their lives. But I feel like after that, it will put you back in a reading slump because you will never read anything like this ever again. And yeah, I would highly recommend this book. And then we have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and this is very different from The Great Alone. It is very emotional, but in a different way. We are following these friends. We are following Tully, and we are following Kate, and they have been best friends since they were 13 or 14 at the time. Tully has a very different life from Kate. Kate has a stable and normal household, and Kate doesn't. Kate's mom has left and has abandoned her, and she has basically lived with her grandmother. So like I mentioned, Tully and Kate have very different background, and they come from very different households, and we see what impact that has on them as individuals and the decisions they take in life, but also for their friendship that they form. And we follow their friendship for like 20 or 30 years, decades, anyways. And be prepared for the ending. It is very emotional, and yeah, I don't want to say much more than that because I don't want to spoil the book for you. But I would highly recommend this book. If you haven't read this, then please do. If you want to read about female friendship, and if you want to get so immersed into a story that you are most probably going to finish it in one sitting, then this book is for you. Okay, I checked the time on this video so far, and I need to kind of hurry up. So the next one I have also read this year, and it is The Wedding People by Alison Espach or Espach. Please let me know how I'm supposed to pronounce this book, but I'm sure you guys have probably already read it. But if you are in a reading slump, but you also crave something that has a bit more meaning and that kind of makes you think about life in a way, but doesn't use a lot of your brain power, like doesn't make you feel like you are doing any sort of homework, then pick this book up. In this book, we are following Phoebe, and basically she books a room in a hotel, and this hotel actually is reserved for the wedding people because there is a wedding taking place in a week, and by some accident she manages to book a room because she wants to not be part of this life anymore, and she wants to have like her last meal and have a chill day before she goes through with her plan. And she meets the bride of the wedding, and they basically form this really like weird and quirky friendship in the week that they spent together. And it made me laugh, it made me think about life, it made me really feel connected to the characters, and it really put some things into perspective. I feel like this book is like a slice of life. I don't know how else to explain it, but if sometimes you are wondering about life and if you feel like it's too late to do this or it's too late to do that, and if you feel like you're behind and people at your age have done this and you haven't achieved what you wanted to achieve in life and all of that sort of stuff, then I would highly recommend this book for you. And I will also highly recommend the audiobook. Just this book, I think this book will be stuck with me for a while, and I'm so glad I have picked this book up. And yeah, I don't know how else to explain how much I love this book. I don't feel like my words will ever do it justice with how much I love it, and the emotions and the love that I have for this book. I don't think it can ever be explained, but please pick this book up if you haven't already. Next, we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is part of a reading vlog that will probably come up after this video, so make sure you are subscribed and you keep an eye out for that reading vlog. I had a lot of fun reading the books in that reading vlog, more specifically this one. I don't know if you can tell by my annotation so far. I love this so much. I gave it a 4.75, but this book is set in the 1980s, and we're following this woman, Joanne, and she basically gets into the NASA space shuttle program, and she's one of the first few women to be accepted into this program, and she's really good at what she does, and she's very passionate about space and being an astronaut and stars and the sky and the world and humanity in general. Really, she is very generous with the love that she has to give for people and for the world that she lives in. And I loved how the atmosphere and the stars and the sky was used as a metaphor for the world that we live in. And honestly, what you get from this book is just be a human being, just be good to one another, just be kind. There's so much more to this book than that, but I love this book so much. She is also questioning her sexuality, and we follow that, and we follow the friendship and the relationships that she has with other people that are in this program, and also her relationship with her sister and her family, and more specifically her niece that she loves very much. And I absolutely love this book, and I would highly recommend this book if you want to get out of a reading slump. It's very short, it's very fast paced, it is very emotional, so be prepared to feel emotions. But I feel like sometimes when I am in a reading slump and I pick up books and I just put them down, it's because I don't feel anything, I don't feel connected, I don't feel immersed into the story. So I feel like some of the best books to read in a reading slump is books that will make you feel, and that will make you feel connected to the characters and the book that you picked up. So this is one of them, and yeah, be prepared to cry when you read this book. Next, another book that I have read this year, another one of my 6 stars books, is The Correspondent by Virginia Evans. And this book is completely written in letters, and more specifically the letters that our FMC Sybil sends out, and also the letters she receives in response. And we are basically learning about her life and her past, but also her present through these letters that she sends out. And we follow the relationships that she has with her sons and her grandkids, and also the neighbors. And there's also some love stories involved. And this woman, she's in her 70s and really teaches you the importance of sending letters. Really, it made me want to actually send letters to my loved ones after this. And yeah, I would honestly highly recommend it. It is very fast paced, the way it is written. Like sometimes you get chapters like this. So the book itself is really fast, but also the writing is really fast, and it is also written in letters. So the pages are not filled, and it's very concise, but it's very also explicit, and you feel the connection with the characters and you are really invested in what's going to happen next. But also more specifically, you are very connected, related to her past, and you want to learn more about her story and how she was before and what happened, because there's also a bit of a mystery aspect in this book. So yeah, I don't want to say much more than that because I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but I would highly recommend for you to pick this book up, especially if you are approaching or if you are in a reading slump. I love this book. Again, one of my favorite books. Like, how can you not love this book? And if you have read it and if you haven't really enjoyed it, which I don't think there's anyone that hasn't enjoyed this book, don't let me know. I don't want to know. I really don't. I love this book so much. Okay, so now we are entering the last five books that I have to recommend for you guys, and those are my fantasy romantasy book recommendations. And my main genre right now is fantasy romantasy and also literary fiction. So again, I'm going to try to rapid fire for these books because some of them are quite popular and people already know about those, but I feel like they aren't popular right now. They were before, they had their moment, and now they kind of like died down. And I feel like these books need to come back because they were that good. They were really, really good, and I still feel like they need to be read by more people. I feel like they really are that good. So the first romancy book recommendation I have for you is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillick. And if you want to kind of step out of your comfort zone, which I would suggest if you are in a reading slump, if you want to try something new, and if you want to try something that you haven't really read before, I would highly recommend this. This is the first book that is part of a duology, which is kind of like dark, mysterious, gothic type of vibes. And yeah, it is very well done. We are basically following our FMC, and she has this entity living in her brain, and she basically calls it the nightmare. And long story short, she's kind of forced into this quest of collecting and finding these province province cards providence cards, the keys to the cure, because she's basically sent to find the cure to the infection, the magic infection, to the dark magic that is infesting the kingdom. And she is being held by the king's captain, which is also his nephew, and we basically go from there. I don't want to say much more than that. The magic system is very unique. The relationship, the characters are very different. They're not like the romantic that we kind of get sometimes copy and paste right now. It's very unique, it's very different. It has this dark type of vibes to it. There's also a mystery that needs to be solved, and it was fantastic. Honestly, I enjoyed it so much. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. If you want something that you haven't read before when it comes to this genre, I would highly recommend for you to pick this one up. My next recommendation is Daughter of No Worlds by Carissa Broadbent, and this is the first book that is part of a completed trilogy, which is called The War of Lost Hearts. And in this book, we are basically following Tisana, and Tisana has finally managed to save up the money to buy her own freedom. And basically, she wants to go to this organization called the Orders, and this like organization that helps wielders, I believe. So she needs to get this training done because she basically wants to save her people and she wants to save her friend from the place that she has just escaped, and she can't do it if she doesn't get help from this organization. And basically the orders require them to do at least 6 months, not 6 months, 6 years of training. But because of her situation and of the urgency that she needs it at, she is required to have at least 6 months of training with Max, who doesn't really want to train her, who was part of the orders, but he is not anymore. And eventually, he actually gets to train her, and they form a friendship and obviously a relationship. But the way it was done, you guys, I don't know how to properly describe it. I hope I'm making sense. And the summary that I'm giving you guys is actually like making you want to pick these books up, because I'm horrible at giving summaries, especially when it comes to the fantasy genre, which is the genre that I read the most. But I'm really, really bad when it comes to this stuff. Tisana is a very complex character. She is funny, but she is very resilient. She's very strong. She just gets on. She doesn't let herself feel what she's feeling at the moment. She just has a goal, she has an objective, and she's just going to achieve that no matter what. And the way she deals with it, and the way Max is helping her deal with her emotions and let herself feel those stuff, is so incredibly well done. I love these characters, I love the world, and I'm really, really excited to pick up the last book in this trilogy. I would highly recommend it. Again, if you want something that you haven't really read before, but you want something fast paced, but you also want a relatable, funny, and kind of high stakes romantasy, then this is the book that you would want to pick up. Okay, guys, I am so sorry that the light is different and I'm in a different position. My camera died, so I had to pause, charge it, and now it's a bit later, and I only have 3 more books to talk to you guys about. And okay, let's move on. So the next book I was telling you guys about is A Wave of Lies by E.M. Riedel, and this is the first completed books in a interconnected standalones. So we all know how rare it is to have a romantic standalone, but we are going to get more books within this world, but with different characters. So this story is completed. You will be satisfied at the end of the book. You'll get the ending and everything like that, but there are more characters within this world that you are going to get books about and read about. But in this book, basically, we are following Semras, and she gets a knock on her door one day by this witch hunter. And basically, he's like, you either come with me to help me find out who the killer of the other witch hunter is, and therefore you are going to save your coven sisters, the other witches, and you're going to stop a war from happening, or you're going to die right now. And because she wants to save her sisters, she wants to save everyone, and she doesn't want the war from happening, because the person that has been murdered is a witch hunter. So if this witch hunter, our MMC, blames her or blames one of the witches for this murder, then they are going to go to war again, which we don't want that happening. So she has to go with him because she is a herbalist. She is very good with like the woods, plants, and poisons and stuff like that. And she is going to help him figure out who has killed his friend. Is it a witch or is it somebody else, and what has happened? And basically the story goes from there. It is this type of enemies to loverish type of story. They are enemies, but they are attracted to each other. Then they kind of give in to the attraction. Then one of them says something, and they go back to hating each other, and so on and so on. So it's this pull and push type of relationship. But I had so much fun. It is one of my favorite books of 2025. It is on Kindle Unlimited as well, and I have reread it this year. I hope you guys can see, just so I can annotate it, because I loved it that much and I would highly recommend it. And I'm so excited for the next books in this interconnected standalones. Okay, guys, next we have The Dagger and the Flame by Catherine Doyle. This is a YA romance book. This is again enemies to lovers, and in this book we are following our FMC, Seraphine. She's 18 years old, and she has witnessed her mom being murdered for whatever reason. The reason that we kind of know about is because her mom has discovered something, or her mom has done something. And in this world, you have the daggers and the cloaks. The cloaks are the thieves, and the daggers are the assassins. And she basically goes to the cloaks so she can get a place to live, and then she is looking to revenge her mother and find out what has happened and why they have targeted her mom. And then we have our MMC, and his name is Ransom. Yes, his name is Ransom, and basically he is the captain of the daggers, so he's the captain of the assassins. And because our FMC has this unique and powerful magic, he is sent after her in order to get rid of her and get rid of the problem, and the story goes from there. I would highly recommend this book. It is so well done, it is so fast paced, it's not hard to read, but it is also like kind of complex. The magic system is really interesting, and I haven't read a book like this. And also because it is YA, it is fast paced in my opinion. It is like really easy to get into and to read, so I would highly recommend. And the last book that I would like to recommend in the romance genre, and also a book that I have read this year, I gave it a 4.75, but right now I feel like it is more of a 5 stars because I think about it, I always recommend it, I always like want more people to read it, and there's nothing that I want to change about this book. The only reason I gave it a 4.75 is because it took me ages to read, and that's not because of the book, that's because I was really busy, so I couldn't pick the book up. But I do enjoy books more if I can binge read them. But anyways, it's not the book's fault to touch a Silent Fury by R.A. Sandpiper. And if you are in the mood for dragons, if you are in the mood for a badass FMC, and if you are in the mood for a FMC that kinda reminds me of Tisana from Daughter of No Worlds, then this is the book for you. It is very underrated and it is so good. And it is also on Kindle Unlimited, which if you want to use your Kindle more, then I would highly recommend this book. And I also think this book is written by an indie author. So if you want to look into that, then I would highly recommend this book. In this world, we are following our FMC Tani, and she is the only woman that is part of this brotherhood that is situated on this like really remote and secluded island. And the way the magic kind of works in this world is by everyone having like their power, but in order to be able to use that power and actually come in terms with the power is by having this ceremony where they have to answer 5 questions from each fate. So you've got the fate of marriage, the fate of killing, and etc etc. You've got different fates, and then depending on the answers that you give them to the scholars that ask you that question, you are going to be assigned a fate, which you then need to go to another city and go through the ceremony, and then you will be able to actually have your powers fully once you have completed the ceremony. And our FMC, she gets the marriage ceremony because she is the only woman in this brotherhood, and basically she needs to get married to one of the lords, one of the men that will win this like battle trials type of thing, and then whoever wins will marry her. And once she is married, she will be able to actually have her full powers. And here comes our MMC. His name is Lang. Yes, his name is Lang, and he is the prince of the kingdom. And basically, he has kind of watched our FMC, and because her magic powers are quite unique and quite powerful and dangerous, he has decided that he is going to stop the ceremony from happening. Therefore, she will become this unfated person and she will get cast out for that, because people that don't go through with the ceremony, if they don't get their full fate, they will be casted and they won't be taken back onto the island. And because she is so powerful in his eyes and she can be a danger to his king and the kingdom, he has decided that he's going to stop the ceremony from happening, therefore not let her come into terms with her full powers. And basically the story goes from there. You have dragons. He is also a dragon rider, and he's one of the few. I think it's just him and one more person, and then there is a dragon that we don't really know much about, and that's all you kind of get when it comes to dragons. But obviously the story develops from there. It's really interesting, it's so well done. I don't have anything to complain about this book. Like, truly, it is a 5 stars type of book. It is really underrated and it needs more hype. More people need to read about this book, especially if you are a lover of surfing and you like the bond between the dragon rider and the dragon. Very, very similar in that terms, but that's it. That's all the like similarities that I can find between those two books. But if you want to kind of have the same feelings while reading this book, then you will be able to feel that because of the dragon aspect. But I would highly recommend it. I love this book so much. I love our FMC and I love our MMC, and I just love this book, so I would highly recommend for you to pick this book up. Okay, guys, those are all the books that I recommend for you to read if you are in a reading slump or if you are approaching a reading slump, all for different reasons, obviously. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found a good book recommendation. I've tried to kind of pick a bit from every genre that I read with all my favorite books from each and every one of them. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found a good book recommendation. If you have any book recommendations that you think are really good when it comes to a reading slump, then let me know. Leave comments down below. And thank you so much if you have watched until the end. It means a lot to me. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye!